welcome to the deep dive. Today we're heading to the misty landscapes around Dao Hill. That's near Kursong in West Bengal, India.
Right. And our focus is, well, it's these really intriguing, kind of strange stories from there.
Exactly. Specifically, we're digging into this persistent local legend about a spectral figure.
Yeah. And our source for this is, it's actually an audio recording. It's from a fictional podcast, Shiver Stream Stories.
Okay.
And the episode is called The Boy Without a Head of Tail from Dao Hill.
Oh.
Now, it's presented as, a spooky narrative.
We're pulling out the details, right? The actual reported phenomenon. That's what we want to look at closely.
Precisely. We're extracting the information about the legend itself.
Because you, our listener, you're probably interested in quickly getting the scoop on these weird phenomena, these stories that pop up.
Even the ones that sound, well, supernatural.
Yeah. There's always something interesting about why these stories stick around, isn't there? So our mission today is basically to unpack this Dao Hill legend.
Let's do it. So the source material, it paints this picture of Dao Hill, kind of a place of two halves, atmosphere-wise.
Oh, how so?
Well, during the day, it sounds lovely. Sunlight, pine trees, that fresh, sort of earthy, maybe rainy breeze. It's described as quite serene.
Okay, sounds nice. Peaceful.
But then, and here's the twist, when night comes, apparently the whole feeling changes. Completely.
Right. The source mentions the air getting thicker. Is that the word?
Yeah, thickening. And the locals, they apparently warn people, stay indoors after dark.
And why is that? What's the reason?
Well, this is where the stories kick in. Tales of spirits roaming around once the sun goes down.
Okay. Classic haunting setup.
And sort of central to all of this is the most famous story, the Headless Boy.
The title character from the source episode.
Exactly. The source says he's often spotted near this forest road. It runs behind the Dao Hill boarding school.
And the school itself is significant.
It seems so. It's old, apparently over 100 years old. And interestingly, it already had a reputation. Whispers and rumors of strange things happening there.
Before the Headless Boy story even became prominent.
That's the implication. Things like unexplained footsteps in empty hallways.
Oh, yeah.
Laughter when no one's there. That feeling of being watched.
Right. That classic old building vibe. You hear those kinds of stories quite a bit about places with long histories, don't you?
You really do. And these sort of pre-existing rumors, they create this backdrop for the main legend we're diving into. This figure of a headless boy.
So the narrative suggests people claim to have seen him. Often near that road.
Yeah, frequently. Appearing suddenly. Often when it's misty.
Okay, let's get a clearer picture. What does he supposedly look like? What details do people report?
Well, the description is pretty consistent in the source. He's small, like a young boy, probably no older than 10.
Okay.
And he's wearing, apparently, an old-fashioned school uniform.
Which connects him back to the boarding school.
Directly. But the most striking detail, obviously, and the most disturbing, is that he has no head.
Wow. And how is that described? Just gone?
The source uses the phrase, a clean sever at the neck.
Oof, a clean sever. That's particularly unsettling, isn't it? It sounds so abrupt, so violent.
It really does. And the podcast episode we're using, it highlights one specific account, a story that really brings it all home. The woodcutter's encounter.
Ah, yes. Tell us about that one.
Okay, so this woodcutter, he's walking home late one evening. He sees this small figure up ahead on the path.
Right.
And it's moving strangely. Then, as it turns, the woodcutter realizes, horrified, it doesn't have a head.
Just nothing about the neck.
Nothing. And the source makes a point of saying the body turned. Not like a head swiveling first, just the whole torso rotating.
Oh, that detail makes it feel really unnatural. More than just missing a head somehow.
Definitely more disturbing. It gets worse, though.
How so?
This headless figure then reportedly starts moving towards the woodcutter. And silently, the source emphasizes, almost gliding.
Gliding. Okay, that adds another layer of weirdness. So what does the woodcutter do? I assume he doesn't stick around.
No, absolutely not. He bolts, runs terrified into the forest, off the path.
I don't blame him.
And then, get this, he claims he could hear tiny footsteps chasing him, following him through the woods for quite a way.
Tiny footsteps. Oh, that's chilling. Just the sound of pursuit.
Yeah, that auditory detail really amps up the fear factor. But maybe the most dramatic part of his story is the supposed consequence.
What happened to him?
When he finally made it back to his village, his hair had supposedly turned completely white.
White. from fear. You hear about that in old tales, don't you? Extreme
Hmm.
fright having physical effects.
It's a classic motif, absolutely. And the podcast suggests this wasn't just a one-off event with the woodcutter. The sightings had a wider impact on people.
Right. It wasn't just one guy's scary story.
Exactly. Beyond the woodcutter, the source mentions others who claimed encounters. They suffered from, well, nightmares for starters,
Understandable.
but it allegedly got worse for some. Reports of mental breakdowns.
Really?
And even people disappearing altogether after seeing the boy.
Whoa, okay. Disappearances. That really escalates things. That emphasizes the perceived danger.
It does. It paints this figure as seriously threatening within the local folklore. It goes from just scary sightings to something potentially much worse.
That progression, yeah, from bad dreams to breakdowns and vanishing.
Mm.
It definitely amplifies the dread around this figure. It suggests a really deep belief in something malevolent there.
And apparently, this belief hasn't faded away. The podcast wraps up that part by saying, even today, locals believe that when the mist gets really heavy on Dow Hill,
Yeah.
you might still glimpse a shadowy figure lurking among the trees, just waiting, watching.
That's a powerful image, isn't it? This lingering presence tied to the landscape, especially the mist. It really shows how, environment and story can get tangled up.
Absolutely. And for you, the listener, it highlights how these specific places, these narratives, they just become part of the local consciousness, deeply intertwined.
And the source ends with that classic warning, right?
It does. A direct piece of advice. If you find yourself in Kursong and the mist rolls in thick
Uh-huh.
and you hear soft footsteps behind you,
Yeah.
don't look back.
Chilling. It's a standard horror trope, maybe, but effective. It speaks volumes about how potent this local fear is or was.
Definitely. So let's just quickly recap the core elements we've pulled out.
Okay.
We have this hill station, Dow Hill. Beautiful by day, but associated with dread after dark.
Right.
The central legend is this small boy, headless, in an old-school uniform.
Often seen near the boarding school.
Yes. And encounters like the woodcutters describe him as silent, maybe gliding.
And the consequences for witnesses are reported as severe terror, madness, even vanishing.
And this presence is believed to persist, especially in the mist. A watcher in the woods.
Okay. So we've unpacked this pretty unsettling tale from Dow Hill based on the Shivers Dream Stories account.
We have.
And what strikes me, and maybe you too, listener, is how these kinds of stories can be so persistent, so vivid in certain spots.
Yeah, why they're there.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What really explains that endurance? Is it purely psychological? Our minds reacting to an eerie place, primed by folklore we've already heard?
Or shared anxieties, maybe.
Perhaps. Or
Yeah.
could there be other factors? Something about the place itself or the way stories evolve that makes these legends take such firm root and just keep going, capturing people's imagination.
It's a fascinating question. What makes a ghost story stick?
It really is.
Yeah.
Definitely something for you to chew on after listening.
Please subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to create even more great content for you. Thank you so much.